tremendous looking trophy.
Hello and welcome to Platinum Exposure, number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Zim Blight, and joining me, no one. It's a solo show again. It's fine. We'll kick on. We'll do what we got to do. You're here. I talk most of the show anyway. On the show today, mostly just going to talk about some games, a couple news stories. To be completely honest, probably going to brush over the big news stories because the big thing was BluePoint. It happened like right after recorded last week. I've already had to push this episode a day late because of some personal stuff that happened yesterday. So let's just kick on. Let's just get on with the show. Firstly, let's go to the PlayStation Plus games that were announced. Mortal Kombat X, PGA Tour 2K21, that's a mouthful, and Hell Let Loose are your PlayStation Plus games for this month. Now, Mortal Kombat, I don't really play. I appreciate PGA, not really my thing. Hell Let Loose, I wanted to give a go. I'd always been sort of keen to try it out. It's one of those games they chuck on PlayStation Plus. I'm like, oh, good. Now I can give it a go. That's good for me. So I did jump in and played a couple hours, maybe like two-ish hours, I think, last night to get an idea of it. Since I was like, well, let's just dive into this, see how many games I can do. And I'll tell you now, I jumped in. One game took maybe 15, 20 minutes. Another game, I think, took over an hour. So if you're not one for patience, that was done on purpose. That was a pun. That was a pun because I made you wait. Then the game is not going to be for you. It is a hashtag Nick game. If you know what that means, you know what I'm saying. But it is it's a World War shooter. It is I think that's a genre, right? Just World War shooter. It is not super intense in that you have to like clean your guns or anything like that. However, it is slow paced. It is demanding of teamwork. It is play your role, do it properly or else your team will lose. It is voice communication is probably going to lead one team to the win. And if you're not communicating with a team, you're just not going to go anywhere. It has a lot less UI and information than you're probably used to in most shooters. It is, however, rewarding if you stick out with it and you can get into it and enjoy it. So, for example, I jumped in. I was playing mostly as I think it's the rifleman class, and you can have teams are broken up into squads. You can join a squad. You can lock off a squad, so only you and your friends can play together if you want. Then you've got sort of a commander who is obviously his job is to lead you to victory, or release your squad, tell you where to go, this sort of thing. They can also sort of place down basically new spawn points, so you don't always have to spawn back at the original starting point of the match, which you don't want to, because here's the one thing that'll sort of separate the people who are used to running and gunning and getting straight into the action. When you start this game and you spawn at your base on either side of the map, I only played the one mode, which is where you so I should clarify that first. There are two modes. The one I played is where the map's sort of split in half and it's broken up into like 3 or 4 like quarters within those, and you have to fight to sort of claim all territory. The team who claims it all wins, sort of thing, within the time limit. The other one, I think, is one team simply defending what they've got, and other teams trying to attack it or whatever. I didn't play that one. I don't know what that one's like yet. But both teams spawn on either side of the map. Map is huge. It's fucking massive. I think there's 50 players or something like that broken up against the 6 squads of however many that takes. And then when you spawn, it'll take you, I don't know, at least 5 minutes to probably walk to where action will begin. Like you are not getting straight into a gunfight in this game. So if that sounds like a big turnoff, and then if your commander forgets to place down a spawn beacon thing somewhere closer to where you're going to be wanting to get into the action, you're going to be really annoyed because you're going to have to be walking all the way, probably even further, to get back into action. So that sucks. But once you get into the action, it's not a run and gun. Everyone sort of has their job. So riflemen, obviously, are mostly playing as sort of mid-range. You can shoot people from distance or what, and this sort of thing. You can't change up your guns. You can't. You are a rifleman. You have a rifle. I have an ammo pack. I have a bandages to heal myself. I have a couple grenades or something like that. If you play the support class, your job is basically suppression, fire down with the machine guns, suppress the enemy, and the suppression sucks in this game. Fucking blurry as shit, and you can't see what the hell's going on, which, I mean, it's kind of the point, I guess. And then there's a medic. Obviously, they're the one class who can heal people. So when you're downed, and you'll stay down forever. Like you can hold square or whatever to respawn, but most of the time, since it takes forever to get back into the fight, you don't want to respawn. You don't want to respawn because it'll take forever, and also it's a loss against your team, obviously, because then it counts as someone dying and they're out of battle. And this is a game where potentially one person can hold the enemy back long enough, but if they wipe an entire squad, they could push forward pretty fast as a team, and the tides of battle will change pretty fast as you're playing it. So it is interesting in a lot of ways. But there's only one medic per squad, so you can't all be playing medics. So if your medics shit, they're running out, getting themselves killed first all the time, they're not there to revive anyone, then it's like, okay, well, cool story. You can only ever have one like anti-tank or whatever that role's called. I can't remember if that's exactly what it's called, but you want at least one of those on your team, and not all like you can have more than one rifleman, but if you don't have one of each of the classes where you can only have one of, then you kind of be up shit creek, because the tank will roll in, they'll blast the shit out of you, and no one can do crap. So it's just like run, leave, hide in the grass. I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed my first couple hours. It's definitely not something you want to jump into and be like, yeah, let's go shoot some shit for a couple hours and have some fun. It is not like super intense, as I said, down to statistics, cleaning guns or anything like that. But this is definitely leaning more towards the realism aspect, or at least the teamwork, squad-based gameplay aspect. It would fit somewhere between, I don't know, like it's giving like Battlefield vibes, but even Battlefield is obviously a lot more stupid, especially these days. It isn't super hardcore, but this is more Battlefield than Call of Duty. If they're the two and that's your sort of thing, this is more Battlefield, although even then it's nothing like Battlefield. So maybe don't listen to anything I just said. A couple other things I've quickly been playing. I'll just chuck my thoughts out. I'll have full reviews of these eventually, but I'm playing through Rainbow Billy. I did write a preview for this back in the day. If you want a really fun feeling game that's just full of charm and heart and just sort of can lift your afternoon up, Rainbow Billy. It's literally about a kid who is trying to make friends with people. And they're depressed, and some people suffer from anxiety and worries and all these sorts of things. And you got to talk to them in the battle system. And by talking to them, you'll help them overcome their troubles. So I don't know, in a lot of ways, it feels like I was inspired by, like, I guess, Undertale to a degree. But then again, it's like Mario RPG. There is like some slight platforming and exploration before you get into these battles. And then the critters you collect, you can talk to and level them up and stuff. But it's fun. I'm enjoying it. Look for my full thoughts on that, and I'll probably talk about it on Arcade Couch as well later in the week, or next week, I guess, Monday. And then I've played about an hour of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Is that what it's called? Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl this morning. I'm having fun. Look, I gotta be honest. If you're like a Super Smash Bros. Aficionado, like you love that shit, this game you'll probably hate, because even I can tell, as someone who doesn't really enjoy playing Smash because I just find it too complicated or whatever, it kind of is too much for me. So this is toned down Smash Brothers mechanics, which to a lot of people will be like a big, don't want to play any of that crap. Don't give that to me. There's less than 20 fighters in the game. Not enough. Don't care. All that sort of stuff. However, if you grew up watching a lot of these Nickelodeon cartoons, if you're going to play as Cat Dog versus SpongeBob or Cora or bloody Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle characters or whoever else, you're going to have a great time. That's why I'm enjoying it. I can jump into arcade mode. I did my first run as Cat Dog on very easy AI difficulty. And it was too easy. I was like, maybe I ain't so bad at these games. I was like messing around. I got my hand, because I haven't played Smash. I played Smash for a little bit when it came out, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I was like, I can't do it. I don't really enjoy this sort of game. Too complicated, just grind it against me or something like that. But yeah, having the varying difficulties here, and maybe having a little bit more of an attachment to the characters, or maybe it's less attachment, just more. It's different, isn't it? It's different. Like there's lots of characters in Smash I want to play as. I just don't particularly want to buy the game to play it, which is the thing. But yeah, I'm enjoying playing as SpongeBob. Enjoying playing as Cat Dog. Enjoying playing as April O'Neil. Cora plays really well. The ones I played as so far. I did a couple runs through arcade. Obviously, my first one was on very easy. That is very easy. So, like, if you're like me and you would like to play this sort of game to look at the characters, enjoy the levels, obviously because they take place in a lot of these Nickelodeon worlds, enjoy the music because obviously the music's really good. It's pulled from the Nickelodeon properties. Visually, the character designs and the moves and the special moves and all that sort of stuff comes from you can tell it comes from a place of love for the franchises, and that's really good. And if you I suck at these games, Dylan, just play them very easy. Like, you get 3 lives or whatever they call them, tokens or whatever, the amount of times you can get knocked off. And the enemy that you're playing against AI, they've won. Beat them once, you win. Very good. On to the next one. And there's 8 stages, I think, or something. It's not even super long in the arcade mode. I beat the very easy difficulty in 6 minutes, I think, or something ridiculous. Super easy. You could probably do it less if you get good at the game. I reckon you could beat very easy in a couple minutes. Straight, fly through it. Pros would probably do it. Easy. And then I've done a couple now on medium, which I'm just saying is normal, I guess. Medium. There's a hard and very hard. And there's easy, very easy. So medium. And that is where you have 3 lives each. That is, more what you're probably used to. A little bit more difficult. I've been learning the ropes though. Got to get the light attacks in with the special attacks, with the heavy attacks. And there is a block parry thing in this, which is quite good. And once I figured that out, I was all about that. I was like, oh, good. And it's actually a button, not pulling back. Because that's the thing. My mind struggles with fighting games and having to pull back to parry or block. I just like being able to press a button. You can press a button in this to block. So I'm enjoying it. But I will put that asterisk on it again. This is there's not much to it. There's a couple modes. There's the arcade thing. And then you've got the versus mode if you have someone else you can play with. Or there is online. But otherwise, I can tell that most people would probably fly through what's here within probably a day, as far as core content within the game, unless you want to dive more into multiplayer aspects and that sort of stuff. So just be wary of that, and be wary that if you love Smash, you'll probably think the mechanics in this game are not as in-depth, balanced, varied, or whatever you want to call it, because they're not. The Nickelodeon. It's a Nickelodeon game. It's a more accessible version. Let's run through the news topics for today then. Firstly, PlayStation. Of fucking course, after we finish recording, they officially acquired BluePoint Games finally. So this was sort of a let's tone it down. It is a non-story, but of course it's a story. It's a big deal that PlayStation has finally brought BluePoint. However, they did leak this logo when they 2 months ago, and then they sat on it forever, and then randomly they were like, now's the time. Let's announce we've acquired BluePoint. Anyway, first start rights, PlayStation announced that they've acquired BluePoint Games, for real this time. BluePoint are the developers behind Shadow of the Colossus remake, Demon Souls remake, and the Nathan Drake collection. Whilst BluePoint hasn't created much in the way of original games, they've more than proven themselves as a developer that can divine console-defining visuals and gameplay for some of the bigger franchises. Marco Fresh, president of BluePoint Games, had this to say, he said, we're thrilled. Sorry, quote. We're thrilled to officially join PlayStation Studios. Austin, Texas has been the home base for BluePoint Games from when we were first founded as a studio back in 2006, and now we're close to 70 super talented creatives and growing. While the studio has certainly grown over the last 15 years, our cultural beliefs have remained the same, to always push the envelope and create the highest quality games possible, all while having fun doing it. The focus on culture has been instrumental to our success, and we're excited that PlayStation Studios shares a similar culture and vision. They went on to say later that their next project, or at least the next one they're about to begin, maybe they've already got something in the pipelines that we aren't aware of that they could announce. I don't really know. But they're doing an original game, so that is good. It's PlayStation hasn't just purchased BluePoint to solely go, you're the big remake team, considering they just brought that other studio, whose name I always forget, whose job is, from what we've understand and what they've told us, to solely be the sort of remaster squad, remaster team. So BluePoint, maybe they have some passion projects they would want to work on as far as remaster, remaking games goes. Because obviously they've done such a good job with their past couple, primarily Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus, of course. But yeah, original property, I think they've more than proven that, and that is exciting. But yes, there isn't too much to say about the story because we've all talked about it. When it originally got leaked, rumored, PlayStation acquired BluePoint Studios, a studio who was already a developer who was just making PlayStation exclusive games, isn't a shock to the system. However, it is a lot different to Xbox in the way they're acquired studios, which is buying up big ones, big, and bringing them in. PlayStation has primarily, not always, but primarily been sort of rewarding studios and going, look, You've worked with us a lot now. You've already put in a work. We know you. We know you quite well. Would you like a full-time position? It's like you're casual at a job or something. And they're like, hey, you've worked really hard. Would you like a part-time, full-time position? You've already been working there. You know the people. Have the holiday hours or something like that. IGN writes, Sony begins testing free PS5 game trials. Sony has begun testing free game trials on PS5, allowing users to play a few hours of games before purchasing them, but it's not a perfect service just yet. As spotted by Eurogamer, the trial feature appears to be only be available in the United Kingdom right now, and currently includes just 2 games, Death Stranding, Director's Cut, and Sackboy, A Big Adventure. For those wondering how long you can play each game, that seems to be dependent on what you choose. Death Stranding, Director's Cut gives players up to 6 hours of free gameplay, while Sackboy Adventure offers 5. However, the actual amount of time that players will end up spending in the game is likely to be considerably lower than that, and the decision that likely to affect players differently depending on the internet download speeds. The trial period for each game has been set to trigger from the moment that you select download trial on your console or add to library from the web, as opposed to when you actually start playing the game for the first time. 6 hours though of Death Stranding, even though if you click download and you've got decent internet speeds, which I like to say, like, I know I could probably download Death Stranding in under an hour. So it's still like 5 hours. Why are they triggering it right as you click go? That's weird. I don't know. Probably just change that. Probably just add an actual system that's like, hey, you get this actual amount of gameplay time. I'd like it even like if it stopped working if you pause the game. And it pauses it, so you get a legit X amount of hours. But I don't know if that's asking too much. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool for a lot of these games where people are unsure if they're going to like them or not. Like, are you unsure if you're going to like Death Stranding? That's probably a lot of yous out there still. I'm on here every week saying it's fantastic, play it. I still haven't had a chance. I apologize. I still haven't had a chance to play enough Director's Cut to get on here and be like, huzzah! But look, I played that game twice already. I don't play anything that much. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say that you should play Death Stranding Director's Cut. And as for Sackboy, 5 hours of that's a lot. Like, I mean, it's a platforming game. It's probably like a 12-hour game to finish it all. So that's a hefty chunk. I think this is really good though, because we are like we often talk about how demos don't exist anymore and how it'd be great to bring demos back. I guess this is the new age equivalent. That's good. I can appreciate it. Kotaku writes the first ever 8K 60 frames per second game hits PS5. I just thought this was a funny story, and I had to bring it up. They write, The Tourist, first released on Switch in 2019, Xbox in 2020, has finally made its way over to PS4 and PS5, but the PS5 port of this tropical adventure-filled puzzler carries a special distinction. It is the first 8K 60 frames per second console game ever officially released. But don't go rushing out to buy 8K TV just yet. Developed by Shinem Multimedia, The Tourist first hit Nintendo Switch in November 2019. Following that, it ended up on Xbox in 2020. And then later, a newly enhanced port became available on Xbox Xbox Series XS launch title. These newly ports look great in large part to the clean, colorful voxel visuals of the original game. It's thanks to this clean and simple art style and some hardware differences in the PS5 that the devs have been able to ship the first console game to render at a true native 8K resolution. That's right. It can run an eternal resolution of 7,680 by 4,320. And according to Eurogamer and Digital Foundry, the devs say they've achieved this remarkable performance milestone with no temporal supersampling, checkerboarding, DLSS-like upscaling, or any other fancy tricks. The game is actually really running at 8K, 60 frames per second. The first thing to keep in mind while running a game at full 8K res is the actual game at TV is only presented at 4K. So what's going on? Sony doesn't actually support 8K for now, at least yet. Now the PS5 in your box, it says that it does 8K, but they haven't turned that on yet. But that doesn't mean rendering the game at 8K is a waste of time, Kotaku continues. Instead, the devs are using an increased internal res as a form of super sampling anti-aliasing, which means the graphics on screen have cleaner, softer edges with fewer jaggies and similar artifacts. While the game displays at 4K for now, the devs told Eurogamer that when Sony decides to finally update the PS5 to support 8K output, it will only be a very small patch to let folks play the game in full on 8K. No one out there's chucking a crazy over this, saying running out to buy an 8K TV to play The Tourist. I can tell you that right now. However, it is notable. It is technically the first 8K console game to exist, to have been published. Ta-da! You can't play it in 8K if you want to, because Sony hasn't pushed through that 8K, which is still funny. And I kind of honestly forget about, because obviously I chuck away all my boxes like a monster. But the box has 8K. The PS5 box, it still has 8K on the top, you know. The Series X, Xbox Series X version of choice runs at an internal 6K resolution. The devs explained to Digital Foundry that their engine is now able to stretch further thanks to PS5's faster GPU and memory. In addition to the higher internal resolution, the PS5 version shows some clear improvements in its shadow and depth of field effects. There you go. So that's the difference there. Get excited. One last story. New Twisted Metal game reportedly in development for PlayStation. This is Polygon. A new Twisted Metal game is in early development at Destruction All-Stars developer Lucid Games, according to a report from VGC. It would be the first new Twisted Metal game in a decade. An attempt to reboot the series under the new Twisted Metal was released in 2012 on PlayStation 3. VGC reports indicates a free-to-play model for the new Twisted Metal, which has not been officially announced by Sony Interactive Entertainment, but was previously rumored to be in the works. Lucid Games was founded in 2011 by former employees of Bizarre Creations, the former Activision-owned studio known for Project Gotham Racing games, The Club, and Blur. Lucid's most recent games include Switchblade and Destruction All-Stars. The latter came to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation Plus in February, and all about vehicular combat, making the studio a natural fit for Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal's revival aligns with Sony PlayStation Productions' arm developing a TV series based on the car combat franchise. Deadpool and Zombieland writers Reese and Paul Wernick are attached to adapt the video game series as a live-action comedy, which, of course, we did talk about last week, I think, right? A little side to this, I did see also that David Jaffe, creator of Twisted Metal, was also like sort of hinting that he didn't get asked to give his input in the TV series, and then also seemingly hinting that he hasn't been asked to help out with the game at all, I think, or vice versa or something. It was very much hinting that, yes, both, like, he was very much hinting that he's well aware of the TV show and the game, and one or the other was calling out, was talking to him about it, and the other one wasn't. So I think it might have been a TV show that they were talking to him, but he has no involvement in the game. And I think he was annoyed about that. So between this story and like that, I think it's pretty safe to say that, yeah, you're getting another Twisted Metal. And if you're a fan of the franchise, I think you should be in good hands, because as much as Destruction All-Stars is sort of, you know, it's kind of sunken out of the stratosphere and interest over here, I enjoy it. I mean, we played it, for a couple of weeks there, on and off. It just didn't have enough to sort of, you know, hook you in for the long term. Not enough there. And even though they put it out on PlayStation Plus, gave it away for like 2 months or whatever, it is still technically a game you got to buy it now. So, and it missed out in the launch window. I actually think that game would have done a lot better if it released PS5 launch. People probably would have potentially come back to it with less things to do between finishing some of the other bigger games. It might not have been big out the gate, but I don't know. But mechanically, like the way that game works, I feel like you can definitely see that developer like taking on Twisted Metal as a franchise. It's just adding a bit more different sort of character than what's in the Destruction All-Stars universe, and I guess a bit more violence and mayhem over just straight up cartoony destruction, I guess, is a slight difference. But it's very easy to see how that team would take on Twisted Metal. And that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Hope you've enjoyed it. A little bit of a solo show again. I do these, we do every now and then. I come out on my own, sit here, boom, 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 knock out the things, say the things. No one here to interrupt me. Look how much faster I get the show done when Ash isn't here fucking interrupting me all the time. Jesus Christ. Let me know any comments, questions, or concerns you have about this or future episodes of Platinum Explosion by tweeting at me. Just tweet at me at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. Join our Discord. Go to explosionnetwork.com/Discord. Takes you straight to our Discord. Join it. Come talk there. Come drop questions for the show. Come talk about new video games. Come talk about fucking Hell Let Loose. I don't know. Come talk about whatever you want. And if you like this episode and you would like to support the show or me doing solo shows, and you'd like to go, look, here's like $1 billion to show that Ash should be fired. I prefer it when Dylan's by himself. You can do that by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support, which takes you to our Ko-fi page. Actually, no. Yeah, no, explosionnetwork.com/support. I just had a mind blank. Anyway, and I'll do it. thanks to you again. Remember that every trophy counts. And I can tell you right now, I'm pretty sure that Rainbow Billy should be an easy platinum from what I can tell. Hell Let Loose, probably not. There's a trophy for getting 10 kills without dying, which seems really hard in this game. Although my max was 7, and I was like, fuck, if I knock this trophy out, maybe platinum's on the way. You probably have to play a bunch anyway, because you gotta reach like rank 50 or some bullshit. And what else have I been playing as trophies? Nickelodeon, probably not. You gotta win, like, you gotta beat opponents online and all this sort of stuff. I don't know. If you're good at the game, probably. Meme, probably not. Bye. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.